Life is simple, but people have a way of making it hard. My name is Tasha Simmons, and let me tell you, I don't play. I'm done with men leaving me, messing me over, and using me like I'm nothing. It's exhausting, and honestly, I've had enough. It's about time I take control and set the record straight. No more letting people walk all over me or take advantage of my kindness. From now on, I'm standing up for myself, making it clear that I deserve better, and I won't settle for anything less. I've spent too much time giving my all to people who didn't deserve it. I've bent over backward trying to make things work, thinking if I just loved a little harder they'd appreciate me. But I've learned the hard way that some people will take everything you give and leave you empty. Not anymore. I'm reclaiming my power, my peace, and my worth. I'm done making excuses for why people treat me the way they do. It's not my job to fix anyone who doesn't want to change, and it's definitely not my responsibility to stay where I'm not valued. From now on, I'm putting myself first. I'm setting boundaries, and I'm not apologizing for them. Respect me or don't bother stepping into my life. It's that simple. I know my worth now. I know what I bring to the table, and I won't let anyone make me feel like I'm asking for too much just because I expect honesty, loyalty, and love. If they can't handle that, then they're not for me, and that's fine. I'm done living in the shadows of other people's shortcomings. It's my time to shine, to thrive, and to demand the life I deserve. I'm not waiting for someone to see my value anymore. I see it, and that's enough. I've spent too long letting others dictate my worth, but those days are over. I'm stepping into a new chapter, one where I'm in control of my happiness. I don't need anyone to validate me, fix me, or complete me. I've got that handled. I used to believe love meant sacrificing myself for someone else's comfort, but now I know love starts with me. It starts with saying no to people who drain me, no to relationships that aren't mutual, and no to anything less than what I deserve. The funny thing is, the moment you stop tolerating nonsense, people act surprised. They call you difficult or accuse you of changing. Well, they're right, I have changed. I'm stronger now, wiser, and less willing to settle for crumbs when I deserve the whole feast. I don't hold grudges, but I do hold myself accountable for allowing people to take advantage of me in the past. That was on me, but this new version of me? She's not having it. I've learned to recognize the red flags and trust my gut, and I won't ignore them for the sake of keeping the peace. Moving forward, I'm building a life that reflects my worth. A life filled with peace, purpose, and people who truly care. If you can't bring honesty, respect, and love to the table, then your seat is no longer available. I'm done crying over people who don't deserve my tears. My time, energy, and love are too valuable to waste on those who don't appreciate them. From now on, I'm saving them for someone who will. Or better yet, I'll keep them for myself. This isn't bitterness, it's clarity. It's freedom. It's the start of something beautiful. My life on my terms with no apologies. Last Friday night, I decided to step out of my comfort zone. I went to this bar downtown, a little spot I'd never been to before. The atmosphere was just right. Dim lighting, smooth music, and enough people to feel alive without being overwhelming. That's where I met him. He had this warm smile, the kind that makes you feel seen. We started talking and it felt easy. He seemed nice, genuine even, at least as much as you can tell in a first conversation. I didn't overthink it. For once, I let myself just be in the moment. After a while, he asked if I wanted to grab one last drink somewhere quieter. I wasn't ready for the night to end, so I said yes. We ended up back at my place sharing stories over a nightcap. There was something sweet about the way he listened, like he actually cared about what I had to say. Felt different, refreshing almost. He wasn't rushing things, wasn't throwing out lines or trying too hard. Just honest conversation and a vibe that made me feel safe. It was nice, really nice. As the night wore on, I started to think maybe this is what I've been missing. Maybe, just maybe, I'd finally met someone who wouldn't leave me questioning my worth. But I've learned not to let my guard down too quickly. Still, for that one evening, I allowed myself to hope. I'll admit, I'm not used to men being this sweet without an agenda. Part of me wondered if it was too good to be true, but I brushed it off. Sometimes you just have to let things flow, right? When he left that night, I caught myself smiling. It felt good to connect with someone, even if only for a little while. But deep down, I couldn't help but wonder if he'd turn out to be like the rest. Or if this time things might actually be different. The next morning, I woke up feeling lighter than I had in a while. It wasn't just about him. It was the idea that maybe, just maybe, good people still existed out there. I tried not to overanalyze it, but let's be real. I couldn't help myself. I replayed our conversations in my head, trying to catch any red flags I might have missed. Nothing stood out, though. He was polite, attentive, and didn't make me feel like he had ulterior motives. Still, I reminded myself to take things slow. I've fallen for sweet words and kind gestures before, only to be left picking up the pieces later. Later that afternoon my phone buzzed. It was him. I'll admit, a part of me didn't expect to hear from him so soon, or at all. Most guys would have just let the night end where it did. But not him. Hey Tasha. I had a great time last night. Hope your day's going well, the message read. Simple, direct, and enough to make me smile again. I took a deep breath before responding, not wanting to seem too eager. Hey, it was nice meeting you too. My day's been good. How about yours? We texted back and forth a bit, nothing too deep but enough to keep the connection going. He asked if I'd be interested in grabbing dinner sometime, and I hesitated for a moment before saying yes. It felt like a small step forward but also a leap of faith. By the time the date rolled around I was nervous. Not because I thought it wouldn't go well, but because I wasn't sure if I was ready to trust again. What if he turned out to be just like the others? What if this was just another round of disappointment waiting to happen? But then I reminded myself, this is what growth looks like. It's taking chances, knowing that you might get hurt but choosing to believe that something better is possible. When we met up that evening he greeted me with that same warm smile, and for a moment the doubts melted away. Maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. Or maybe it wouldn't. Either way, I was ready to find out. Dinner was at a cozy little Italian spot he picked out. Nothing fancy, but it felt thoughtful, like he actually cared about making it a comfortable experience. We settled into a booth near the window, and as the evening unfolded, I realized how easy it was to talk to him. He asked questions, not the surface-level stuff people ask just to fill the silence, but real ones. He wanted to know about my dreams, my goals, the things that made me tick. Caught me off guard, to be honest. Most men I've met don't seem to care about anything beyond the moment. I found myself opening up, sharing things I usually keep locked away. I told him about my struggles, about how hard it's been to trust people again after being let down so many times. He didn't flinch or try to change the subject. He just listened, nodding at the right moments and even sharing some of his own stories. There was a vulnerability in him that felt real. He admitted he wasn't perfect, that he'd made mistakes in the past but was working on becoming a better version of himself. It was refreshing. I didn't feel like I was sitting across from someone trying to impress me. I felt like I was sitting across from someone who was just as tired of the games as I was. By the time dessert came, I realized I hadn't looked at my phone once the entire evening. That's rare for me. Usually I'm so wary of awkward silences or bad vibes that I keep my phone handy as a quick escape. But with him I didn't need it. As we left the restaurant he offered to walk me to my car. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes. We stood there for a moment, the city buzzing softly around us, and I felt a flicker of something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. I had a great time tonight, he said, his voice sincere. Me too, I replied, trying not to overthink the butterflies in my stomach. He didn't try to push for more, just gave me a warm hug before saying goodnight. As I drove home I couldn't stop smiling. For the first time in what felt like forever I allowed myself to think maybe this could go somewhere. But I've been here before, haven't I? The beginnings that felt promising only to end in disappointment. This time though I promised myself one thing. I wouldn't lose myself in the process. If this turned out to be real, great. If not, at least I'd know I gave it a shot, on my terms. That night as I lay in bed replaying the evening, I felt a sense of peace. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid of what might happen next. Whatever it was, I was ready for it. The high I was riding from that night didn't last long. Just as I started letting myself believe in the possibility of something real, life threw me a curveball. It started innocently enough. I was scrolling through social media when his name popped up. Curiosity got the best of me, so I clicked. At first, everything seemed normal, just pictures of him with friends and a few random posts. But then I saw it. A photo of him with a woman and 2 kids. The caption read, "Family is everything." My stomach dropped. I stared at the screen, hoping I was wrong, that maybe this was an old post or a relative. But as I scrolled further, the truth became impossible to ignore. This man, this sweet, seemingly perfect man, had a wife and children. Anger bubbled up inside me, hot and immediate. How dare he? How could he sit across from me, look me in the eyes, and act like he was genuinely interested in me while living a whole other life? I wanted to scream, cry, throw something, Anything to release the frustration and betrayal I felt. But instead I just sat there staring at my phone trying to process it all. My mind raced back to every moment we'd spent together, every word he'd said. Was any of it real? Or was I just another pawn in his little game? The worst part was how good he'd made me feel, how he'd managed to crack the walls I'd built so carefully around myself. I thought about confronting him, about calling him out and demanding answers. But then I thought, why should I even waste my breath? Men like him don't deserve the satisfaction of knowing they've gotten under your skin. That night I made a decision. I wasn't going to let his lies and betrayal take up any more space in my mind or my heart. He wasn't worth it. If you like books like this, you can find many titles on Amazon. The best author in the world is Jeremy Tubbs. He is a very much inspired author and he has a massive amount of title. Go to Amazon or Google Play today and get yourself a copy.